Oh my gosh, well, hello everybody. Hope you're having a great day, evening, afternoon, whichever is most appropriate. I uh I think I'm just about ready here to switch over. Let me deal with my pretzel. So today is Turbo Thursday, and that means I had a game chosen for me. And that game is Stories, the Path of Destinies. I apparently got it quite some time ago. I just never ended up playing it yet, so that's what I'm gonna be doing. It looks pretty sweet, a little action RPG game. Apparently it had very, very high reviews back in the day. I just, no, I was too busy playing WoW, probably. Now let me switch my scenes. So using V Magic Mirror today, which means got the keyboard and mouse and the hand tracking. Let's see here. I think I have everything set up. Need to turn on the game capture though. And I'm noticing that this game is very GPU intensive. So I might need to accept low performance either in-game or with my VTuber avatar. I guess we will see. I didn't think to test that out. Tested everything else, just not that. Okay, here we go. So, did I unmute? I did not. And let me see here, properties, stories. Okay. There we go. Okay. So actually with this, I think I'm gonna close out of my pretzel. Well, not close out, but pause. Boom. There we go. Because this has music and everything like that, so... I already very much like the menus. Got everything turned up.
Once upon a time, the infamous rover Reynardo plundered the floating isles. Then his mother called him to her deathbed. "Swear to me that you won't die on the gallows," she rasped. Reluctantly, he swore. And he whiled away his days at home with music, cards, and wine.
Nice.
But the Emperor had changed. He'd been good once, a shy, almost humble toad. He'd built universities. Then people started whispering about mass graves in the woods, midnight rituals, victims screaming. The Imperial Ravens would round up entire villages, and no one ever returned. The Ravens had come to Ubar scouting for ancient books said to be of great power. But the librarians had hidden the books, so they'd burnt the librarians. The citizens, outraged, had driven them off. The Ravens had come back with dropships. The kid had fled with one of those books. He was brave and dumb and wanted to join the rebellion.
Oh.
And Reynardo had promised his mother he'd protect him.
Yeah. Oh,
The kid was looking
Frog
down,
King.
watching his city burn.
Just
"Sorry,
what
kid,"
we need.
Reynardo told the kid. "Look, if we give them the book, they'll leave you alone." "My mother died for this book!" "I promised her I'd protect you." Oh, damn it. The kid had run off. With the book, of course. So Reynardo had to run after him.
Okay, here we go. I can run. I can run. I can run.
Yeah. The two ravens were staring at the kid like he was their dinner, which probably was what was in their tiny brains. Hey, Renato said. They cocked their heads at him. Pick on someone as ugly as you. Wait, that didn't come out right. For the Emperor! The ravens cawed and rushed at him.
There we go. Okay. Whoa. Spin the wind. Oh, that's wonderful. I love it.
A dropship flew overhead. He hoped they hadn't noticed him. The kid.
Oh,
Oh, right. The Gate of Heroes. Someone's idea of a joke, making the Skyship Docks a gated community. You needed a hero's sword to open it. And the kid was on the other side of the gate. Who let you through? Promise me you'll take the book to the rebels. Or I'm gonna steal your ship. I'm not taking that damn book anywhere. And neither are you. Try and stop me, laughed the kid. I bet you don't even have a hero sword. And with that, the kid hopped away. Had to hand it to the kid. He was an idiot, but he had guts. Where was Renato going to get a hero sword? Ore and wind essence? That sounds about right. I'll need a workshop, though. Perfect.
okay, here we go. Nice. I want to look badass. So we're gonna do this.
A hero sword. QED.
So just need more ore now. Oh yeah.
This is what he got for settling down and finding people to care about. The kid's mum had been a swell cook, and she'd laughed at Renato's jokes, even when he didn't know he'd made one. And then the ravens had come to burn her. And she'd made him promise to protect the kid. But she never told him where the book was. Just the kid. He came up to a ledge. It was too far to jump. There'd been a bridge here before, hadn't there? And there was Peter, giggling at him. How'd you get across? He asked the kid. Where'd you find a hook? I hopped, said the kid. Wise-ass kid. Hey, look out behind you. Cute, said Renato. Ah, ravens. time to talk some sense into the kid. Just hook his way across the ledge and chase the kid down. Thing was, he hadn't used his hook since he'd retired. How had he done it? Maybe if he meditated at that altar there, he'd remember his old skills.
I really like it so far. Oh my gosh. It just, ooh, keeps getting better. I love a skill tree like this. Okay. Okay. Ooh.
It was starting to come back to him. Something you never completely forgot, like how to freeze time when attacking. The more he fought, the more he'd probably remember.
Nice.
And there was the Farfarer. She was the fastest ship he'd ever known. She could do the Kester run in 12 furlongs.
Nice.
So the salesman had told him. And something told him the kid was about to walk into an ambush. "Stop!" he shouted. "I'm not giving you the book!" shouted the kid, and took off. "No! Peter!" But the kid ran for it, and a goggler nailed him with its ivy. The book was unburned. Next to it were the buckles from the kid's shoes, and a kid-sized pile of ashes.
Oh
Damn
my
it.
god.
Why hadn't he lied and told the kid he'd take the book to the rebels? The kid would be alive now. Really pissed off and betrayed, but alive. Oh, damn it. Renato picked up the book. He couldn't let the Empire have it now. He was going to have to get it out of there. He'd be a wanted man. Probably have to join the rebellion just to have a place to dock. Well, he'd hated home life anyway.
Nice.
What was the big deal about this book anyway? Maybe he should open it and find out. All that had been years ago. How many? The war was a blur, and now 3 Raven scout ships were chasing him. "Where are you running, rebel?" cawed the Raven captain over the loud hailer. Renato could see them cranking up their catapults.
Wow.
"Just going out for milk?" Renato yelled back. "Where can you run?" laughed the Raven horribly. Far behind him, another city was burning. The dark cloud above its island was thousands of Imperial ships. The fleet was doing a thorough job. "Take us to the rebel base, and we'll spare your life!" it cawed. The entire jury-rigged rebel fleet was only a few islands to the east. Beyond that were only the pillars of heaven, a sea of endless blood-colored tornadoes. The rebellion was out of time, unless Renato could bring a game-changer. Maybe he could. Renato had found out where he could find the pieces of the Sky Ripper, the legendary weapon that had exiled the lost gods. Surely a legendary weapon could win the final battle. On the other hand, his old friend Lapino had sent Renato a desperate message saying he had a brilliant scheme to save the rebellion. If Renato could only rescue him. Renato dived the Farfarer towards the abyss. As he felt the heat of the jet stream, the Raven ships peeled off, not stable enough to follow him down there. Now it was time to choose. Lapino or the Sky Ripper? Ah, Lapino. Apparently, the Mad Rabbit had sold a Pegasus that he did not exactly own. Lapino always wiggled out of trouble, given time. But he was out of time. The Ravens had figured out that Lapino was a rebel spy. If the fleet reached him first, they'd string him up for that. Never mind the winged horse. Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen a winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the Ravens?
Okay, cool. So, alright. Nice, I can get loot and health and
If
health.
I craft a sword now, it's going to be really short.
So I need more ore? Oh my. Yeah, so 11 more, or not, 21.
What did you do if one of these platforms stalled? People were frightened these days. Just 2 weeks past, Reynardo had sneaked through an empty town and listened to the Ravens caw about the Emperor's new taste in ritual sacrifice. Reynardo's blood was up. He just needed to smash something.
Okay. Somewhere I can level up. Ah, there we go. I just noticed that.
Can't we just agree to disagree? Said Reynardo. No?
I discovered a trick.
Ravens were landing everywhere. The advance guard. He'd better get moving. If they got to Lapino first, they'd eat him for breakfast. Or a snack. Ravens weren't picky. If they got hungry, they sometimes forgot to interrogate their prisoners. Even top spies like Lapino. Where had the mad rabbit got to? Reynardo wondered what he could make with all this ore and essence. Oh, right. Probably a sword.
gonna check something real quick here.
Bernardo felt like he was ready to learn new things. Thank goodness he didn't have to go to school for that. It was starting to come back to him. Something you never completely forgot, like how to freeze time when attacking. The more he fought, the more he'd probably remember. Have you ever felt you were just going round in circles? Bernardo felt like that.
Nice. Well, I can almost get a new one.
When you needed one.
Oh.
Dirty and bloody, Bernardo finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Bernardo recognized the cards. It was Lapino's favorite deck. Oh, I thought you were in danger. I am. The ravens are coming. Oh, the prison thing. Right, yeah, see, this guard owed me 53 ducats, so we made a deal. They're very reasonable people, actually, for weasels. Now, I got a brilliant plan to kidnap Zenobia.
I like this one.
Capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows. And that's the whole war right there.
Lapino.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who also happened to be a deadly sorcerer and, oh, his only daughter. That would be worth it. On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power.
Alright, I'm gonna get the core of the Sky Ripper.
To make the Sky Ripper, the Transcendent Emperor had wrapped an armature around the eye of a god. Bernardo had already let that armature slip away to save Lapino's life. But even its core, the eye torn from a god, surely they could fashion a great weapon from that. The core of the Sky Ripper? Lapino's excited. That's an actual thing that we could just go and get. You've been busy. He sure had. Bernardo told him all the things he'd been up to. Soon they got to talking about old times, about wages they'd won and lost, and scrapes they'd barely got out of. It was good to be back with his friend.
Wow.
Bernardo grinned.
Nice.
He had a very good feeling about this. It's beautiful here, thought Bernardo. He was thrilled to be back with his old war buddy. He'd missed the mad rabbit, but something was not quite right. I wonder what I could make with all these sword crafting materials, thought Bernardo.
Probably nothing. Probably nothing.
There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. Where did that go to? Bernardo felt wrong all over. He could feel an almost palpable sickness in the air. And if the land could have tumors, they would look like these monstrous crystals. The forest was quieter than it had been. There were insects, but few birds, if you didn't count the ravens. Bernardo smelled sick animals and dying ones, but no healthy ones. And getting a bad feeling about this, Bernardo thought. Maybe Lapina was right. Maybe they should have kidnapped Zenobia instead of coming here. He'd missed his old skills. He welcomed them back like it was at a reunion. So much. It was time to turn it into something he could use.
Oh yeah? Oh yeah? Is it? Really?
As he held the radiant icosahedron, Renato felt queasy, like dozens of tiny worms were nibbling his insides. It wasn't healthy to be so close to the eye of a god. How could he use it? He could take it to the observatory. The scientists there could tell him how to harness its ancient power. But honestly, Renato ached to get away from it. He brought the core back with him to the Farfarer. But honestly, Renato ached to be rid of it. "Tell you what," said Lupino. "I'll take it to the observatory. You attack the Imperial outpost." The Imperial outpost was a vital communications node. Taking it could shatter the Empire's ability to coordinate. And it would be full of secret plans and maps and maybe even rebel prisoners. It was a good target for a hero like Renato. But what if Lupino got the core and then broke it, or lost it, or worse? Was Renato ready to take that risk? Maybe it was better if he brought the core to the scientists himself. Trust me, Renato, you won't regret this. I'll treat the core like it was my own baby daughter. As the Farfarer dived towards the Nexus, Lupino was jumping up and down with excitement. "Stop rabbiting around," Renato said. Lupino just stared at him. The moment the ship landed, Lupino leapt off the ship. As Lupino vanished into the wilds of the Nexus, Renato vaguely remembered Lupino had a baby daughter, didn't he? And he told her mother he was going out to get some Easter eggs, and he'd never come back. But Renato was relieved not to carry the core anymore. He was already feeling better. And who knows, maybe this time Lupino would get it right. And if Renato could take the outpost, he'd have access to all the Empire's communications in the sector. Right?
Oh my goodness.
Every day he was getting better and better. Who needed bridges anyway? It was definitely easier to fight inanimate objects. Bernardo caught his breath. His joints still hurt, but he couldn't feel the poison in his system anymore. He'd let the armature slip out of his hands to save his friend Lupino. Of course he had to let Lupino take the core. The rebellion needed every man doing his duty. And the rabbit would be no good taking on an Imperial outpost, right? A crafting bench. Bernardo wondered what he could make with it. Bernardo took the outpost with a song in his heart. Soon, he was stuffing his sack with key messages from and to the fleet. One message caught his attention. A high priority order has been given by the Emperor himself to locate something called the Iblis Stone.
Oh
it was
my
somewhere
goodness.
on a desert island. Bernardo had a bad feeling about this. Iblis was the name of one of the lost gods. If the Emperor was diverting ravens to search for it, maybe he should try to find it first. Then the Farspeaker Toad chortled a new message. The observatory had been sacked by ravens. Lupino and all the scientists had been taken to the mountains. Why? Why had he trusted Lupino again? And now the Empire had the core. Bernardo hailed the rebel base to warn them. But their Farspeaker didn't crouch back. Was the base under attack too?
Lupino.
Who knew what was going on at the base? But he knew what the ravens would do to Lupino if Bernardo didn't rescue him fast. What are old friends for, if not to need rescuing every few days? Bernardo felt a twinge of doubt. Should he have gone to the base? No. Logically, wherever they'd taken Lupino was probably where they took the core, right?
Yeah.
Oh, why couldn't Lupino have just, for once, not got himself captured? Was that too much to ask? He shouldn't be too hard on the rabbit. No, he meant well, and he was insanely brave. You had to admire that.
Oh, okay. Cool. So I gotta find gems.
That was always a rush. Sometimes, Bernardo really hated inanimate objects. back for littering. But these islands were short on trash cans.
Oops. Oh my gosh. Trying to scan me. Trying to scan me. I think something's still wrong with my Leorin board. Let me double check here. It's right here. Yeah, it's still not connecting to Twitch chat. I wonder what I did to it.
Where were they holding Lapino anyway? There was no sign of him or the ravens who'd captured him. Just rocks and snow and the usual scouts. No sign of the core either. Was this a wild rabbit chase? Oh, trust Lapino to screw up even getting captured.
Ah, darn
But
it.
what was this rebellion for anyway? Oh, Lapino was a useless goof. But he was a friend. If friends didn't matter anymore, what was the point of winning this war?
Yeah. That's what I say.
It was good to practice your moves, thought Renato. Keeps you limber. A lever? That was new. Most people still use doorknobs. Renato thought of the choices he had made so far. Rescuing a friend and then sending him to be captured. Recovering a superweapon and letting it fall into enemy hands. Risking an assault on an enemy base for military secrets. And then failing to deliver them to the rebellion. Well, he was alive, at least. At the end of the mountain path, Renato came to a clearing. There was a campfire, raven feathers, and... oh, Lapino's lucky deck of cards. Well, that wasn't good. Renato hoped Lapino had not tried to cheat his captors at cards. Ravens were much better than weasels at counting, and they had a very poor sense of humor. Then, he saw what he had hoped never to see. Fresh scraps of rabbit fur.
Oh no.
Ragged and bloody. Ravens would eat anything.
No.
By Crabthar's hammer! Renato screamed at the sky. I will avenge you!
I love the
rebels had
reference.
assembled their fleet. Ahead, a clouds were dark with Imperial ships. If he could reach the Emperor before the rest of the rebels did, maybe he could settle this without too much bloodshed. He set sail, and the Farfarer shot forward. Poor Lapino had never been a great warrior. The Mad Rabbit was good for a lark and a laugh. And a pint. The thought of ravens eating him made Reynardo furious. The way they were eating up the land. The way the Emperor was eating up the people with his new, bloodthirsty ways. He would make them all pay.
Yeah. Yeah.
His trusty old sword was always a little better when he sharpened it. Reynardo felt like he was bursting with knowledge. But what kind? The portal was heavily guarded. It must go someplace they really didn't want it to go.
Oops, I forgot about the boom. That fire hurts really bad. Oh, okay, okay.
Trust a raven further than you could throw one. But did vertical drop count?
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to take a bio in a short little bit here, but wow.
Once, he found a Superman issue #1 in mint condition in a jar he'd broken. He planned to keep breaking things until he had the whole series.
Yep.
Renata felt a little better. Coming back to him. He wondered what he'd remember next. He had given up every objective to save his friend. He had given up the armature, the core, the gem, and even Zenobia. He loved Lupino, he realized. Now the rabbit was gone. A hero looks out for his friends, even when they're gone. He would send Lupino an honor guard of ravens to serve him in the halls of the Valiant. He would avenge him. Good thing Renato didn't have vertigo.
Oops. Okay, I think I'm gonna take that bio real quick. I'll be right back. Just gonna take a moment. Okay. Yeah, I think that was causing me to play a little reachy, overextend myself. I keep missing with my grabs. Oh well. I'll get it. I'll get it. Ah, I'll get there. I'll get there.
Finally, he reached the Emperor's ship. And there was Lapino, surrounded by ravens. He was alive! They'd eaten some other rabbit. "I'll save you!" he shouted with joy and flung himself at the ravens. "Aw, you shouldn't have," said Lapino when the last raven was down. Renato threw his arms around his best friend. "I had to come. I love you, man. You really, really shouldn't have," said Lapino. And Renato felt a rather sharp pain in his back.
Oh no.
As he collapsed, Lapino took the dagger out of Renato's back and wiped it off on Renato's sleeve. "Why, you always have to be the hero. Brave Renato, epic Renato, super sexy Renato, and I'm sick of it. But I loved you." "And you thought I was the idiot," said Lapino as Renato died. Okay, that was weird. He could have sworn he just died. Instead, he was on the Farfarer, sailing away from Ubar. And it was still burning. He'd fled burning Ubar years ago, hadn't he? And now he was back there. Had all those years fighting the Empire been nothing but a vision into the future? A useful vision if it was true. He'd learned something. Lapino was a traitor. Renato had suspected there was something wrong with the Mad Rabbit, but now he knew there was malice behind his goofiness.
Ooh, okay. Here are 2 skills. Here we go. Desert Temple.
He'd made bad choices, but now when the real battle came, he wouldn't make those choices. He wouldn't make the same mistake twice. The book's pages began to flip backwards, towards the beginning. And he realized that his adventure was just beginning. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Or so a scholar in the mountains had told him. Surely the weapon that banished the lost gods could defeat the Emperor. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Emperor had brought the Sky Ripper pieces up out of ancient burial by his obscene rituals. Could this be where the Iblis Stone was hidden? Someone better get it before he does, thought Reynardo. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Reynardo had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Reynardo really leave an old friend to the Ravens?
I kind of want to go to the temple.
The island was windswept desert. No one went there except ostriches and ostrich hunters. The Iblis Stone. It sounded ominous. It sounded powerful. If the Emperor was searching for it, it must be dangerous. And so, Reynardo went ostrich hunting. Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis Stone? Long hidden in a buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now? Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals? Reynardo distrusted doors that opened automatically, especially after being buried for millennia. Was this some sort of trap? Raven can't. The Ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. Then he hadn't come too late. Cool. Wish I could do that.
Max combo 65. Okay. I think I want to get my energy drink. I'll be right back. Wow. 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 This is a really fun game. I am enjoying this one here.
Smashing things was fun.
Oh, crap.
He'd once met a pirate captain who used hooks to get around his ship. Oh, what was his name again?
Oh.
Ooh, what's there?
Ooh, I got a jam. Darn it.
Was that your shield?
Love them pots. Love them pots.
The Ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders. He wasn't that good. Yet.
Yet.
This couldn't be good for global warming.
It's not. It's not.
It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up.
This sounds good.
Who said that?
Sounds good, right? Okay.
It was the stone. Eager, thirsty.
Okay.
That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and Renato wasn't sure he really wanted to be Emperor. Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the Transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. "It's the core," said the stone anxiously. The stone bothered him. He hated being told what to do. Wasn't that why he joined the rebellion? Wasn't that why he'd refused to be a soldier? He'd agreed to come on board only if he could freelance. The stone felt a bit clingy. The sage Calaveras had told him where to find the Sky Ripper, a weapon capable of challenging the gods. Even without its armature, the core would still possess great power. He would go there. The moment he landed the Farfarer, Renato had a rare feeling of regret. It's not too late, he thought. He could turn around and sail for Zenobia's island. He frowned. Wait a minute. He didn't want to kill Zenobia, did he? Sure, technically she was the enemy, but they'd been at Sword Fu school together. They'd never been lovers, but somehow they'd been closer. She'd told him every secret about herself. Except the biggest one. That she was the Emperor's daughter. No. Kill Zenobia, whispered the stone. Before it's too late. The waterfall was spectacular. Well, you had to enjoy these things as they came. We pass this way but once.
So I can upgrade my fire blade. Yeah, I should do that. Well, no, I should make Winterthorn or the Void Blade. So for both of those, I need a little more essence. Oh my gosh. Had to do the zoomies.
There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. Of all the artisans he was creating employment for, truly, he was a job creator. You almost never saw wild gogglers together like this. The toads had to train them not to peck each other to death. So these had to be imperial gogglers. That meant ravens were up ahead. The stone hadn't lied about what it could do for him. With each raven he cut down, he felt a jolt of power flowing into his arm. "You're weak," whispered the stone. "The core will kill you." "Are you afraid of it?" Don't be ridiculous. It chuckled. But it's unstable. It will poison you if someone just carry it. And if you try to use it, it will explode catastrophically. Bernardo did not trust rocks that talked in his head. He went onwards. Of course there was a puzzle. You couldn't expect a transcendent emperor to bury a god's eye in a leather sack where anyone could pick it up. Ow, 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 ow. As he approached the core, the stone became hysterical. No, it's too much power. We will rip a hole in space and time. He had a sudden vision of plunging his gauntlet into the core and dying in anguish. That wasn't his vision, was it? The stone had sent him its darkest fears, hadn't it? he had a sudden impulse to do exactly that. He raised his right fist and plunged it into the core. There was a rush of light. He thought he could hear the stone screaming. And then he passed out.
Oh
When
my.
Renato came to, the core was gone. But the Iblis stone was no longer black, but glowing with a blue light. And it was silent. "I can't hear you," he sang out, and "You?" It didn't answer. "Ha!" he said. He had defeated the demonic gem with the power of his mind. He felt invincible. It was time to attack the Imperial outpost on the Nexus. Take the battle to the enemy. But among the huge crystals, there was also an observatory. A wise man would probably ask the scientists exactly what he had first. How wise was he?
I'm super heckin' wise.
As the Farfarer made its way toward the Nexus, Renato could see tiny sparks in the blackness that was the Iblis stone, as if somewhere within it, the core was still spitting out energy, which the Iblis stone sucked in hungrily. You'd think the stone would want this kind of power, wouldn't it? Thought Renato. Well, the scientists would explain it all. See? He'd trusted his gut, and it had worked out. That's what it meant to be a hero. To ignore the naysayers and the oddmakers, and do what you knew was right, and have it turn out to be the right thing. Well, he wasn't worried. Once he got to the observatory, the scientist toads could explain it. Then he could carry the war into the enemy's camp and destroy them all. Oh dear, he was getting a little bloodthirsty, wasn't he? If they didn't want their things broken, they really ought to make them stronger. There was an inscription, "No spitting."
I really wanted to spit. Okay, I think I can upgrade, no, make the cold sword, and maybe even the void sword.
He was more and more extraordinary.
Oh my goodness. Whoa. Oh. Oh, dang. Oh, thank you. Oh, Miles Baxter, thank you so much for the follow. I hope you're having a great day. Nice to see you. I am just checking out this game here.
Normally, a battle would wear him down, and he would.
I am very much enjoying it
now
so far.
He felt like he could go all night and all day. He felt like people were cheering him on, and he could practically hear their applause as he slew one raven after another. Hoped his hook didn't break.
There we go. Okay, where am I? I think I want to go up here. Oh, awesome. I'm glad to hear that it is a fun game, and yeah, I hope that whatever you're going and doing, it goes well. And thanks again for the follow. But yeah, I very much should have checked this game out a long time ago, that's for sure. But hey,
This
I get to
chest
check it
smelled
out
kind
now.
of funky. He hoped he didn't get it in his clothes.
I like the genre for myself of doing streams for games that I haven't played yet, that have just been sitting in my library for a while. Let's see here. I really need to find a workshop, do some upgrades. Not necessarily even upgrades, but like make those other two swords.
The Imperial fleet was closing in on the rebels, forcing them to come out and fight. Bernardo was itching to bring the fight to the enemy. He had to remind himself not to be too reckless.
There we go. Okay, so I can make my Winter Thorn.
This sword from the frigid north was really useful for making popsicles. And birdsicles.
And birdsicles. Oh my gosh.
Energy spheres.
Ow.
Easy to dodge, but boy do they sting if you didn't pay attention.
Ow.
Boy, some people were just liable to explode if you upset them. Burnt fur. His. Don't look down, he told himself. Don't look down.
Yeah, I definitely would not. Okay.
The toads at the observatory measured the stone with their occult devices. I fed it the core of Sky Ripper, explained Renato. No more they blood and souls. But the core is not an unlimited energy source, said one toad. Another said, there's a feedback loop, you see, which could overload the stone. Yet the stone doesn't actually feed on souls, claimed a third, but on pain of killing another sentient being. If you can truly be at peace with yourself, it would not overload. This was all very confusing. At peace? Yes, the mountains were peaceful and quiet, but he now had the power to turn the tides. He should report to the Rebellion Council and prepare for the decisive battle.
I think I want to go make peace.
The one thing he understood from all the toad arguments, maybe the stone did not feed on blood or souls or rage. It fed on empathy. It fed on the pain he felt when he put an end to another being's existence. Even if that other being was a raven intent on killing him. If he could find peace, then he could use the power of the Ibla Stone without being taken over by its evil. The mountains. He would go to the mountains. He could find peace there. Unfortunately, the mountains were not empty. There were ravens everywhere, no matter. He had to fight, yes, but he didn't have to be angry. Parry, dodge, slash, and breathe. Yes, focus on the rhythm, the dance of it, not on the blood or the raven's core as they died. Ah, it was working. He wasn't feeling those dark jolts of eldritch energy. He wasn't feeding the Iblis Stone.
My goodness.
The stone was still silent.
That hurt.
His mind was his own, and his heart too. He bore them no ill will, these ravens. They were doing their job. They were expressing their nature. Dance, whirl, parry, jab, and breathe. It was all so simple, wasn't it? But something was missing. He didn't feel truly at peace. Wait. Wasn't this near where Calaveras lived? The sage would help him figure it all out. This could be the new aerobics craze. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Building these platforms was so expensive, they'd run out of budget for guardrails.
Oh, okay, there we go. So I was wondering where that was. Oh, maybe I'm. Oh, this is a different spot. Okay. Oop, 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 oop. No.
What else could you hook?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Did I get myself stuck? I think I got myself stuck. Oh no. Oh no.
Renato checked to make sure his sword was still working. Yep.
Okay, Alright, I think I have to go ahead and, I can pick up where I left off if I quit to the main menu, I think. Yeah. Oh, that was neat though, getting stuck.
Unfortunately,
Okay, yeah, I
the
can't
mountains
skip
were not
that.
empty. There were ravens everywhere, no matter. He had to fight, yes, but he didn't have to be angry. Parry, dodge, slash, and breathe. Yes, focus on the rhythm, the dance of it, not on the blood or the raven's core as they died. Ah, it was working. He wasn't feeling those dark jolts of eldritch energy. He wasn't feeding the Iblis stone. Renato checked for a false compartment. Nope.
Oops. I got too thirsty. Too thirsty.
The stone was still silent. His mind was his own, and his heart too. He bore them no ill will, these ravens. They were doing their job. They were expressing their nature. Dance, whirl, parry, jab, and move. It was all so simple, wasn't it? Something was missing. He didn't feel truly at peace. Wait. Wasn't this near where Calaveras lived? The sage would help them figure it all out.
Wow! That was good. Was it good for you?
These platforms were great. Ronaldo wanted one for his house. In a swirl of newly remembered knowledge. He needed to focus. It wasn't his fault. They looked so breakable.
Oh, I missed a stone. Oh well.
Once you try it, you're hooked.
Alright, I'm gonna try this again. Hopefully I don't get stuck. Look at that. I got stuck. Darn it. I really want to know what's over there. Okay. Gotta try again and go the other way.
Unfortunately, the mountains were not empty. There were ravens everywhere. No matter. He had to fight, yes, but he didn't have to be angry. Parry, dodge.
I had to make sure
and breathe.
that it wouldn't let me go there.
Focus on the rhythm, the dance of it, not on the blood or the raven's core as they died. Ah, it was working. He wasn't feeling those dark jolts of eldritch energy. He wasn't feeling the Iblis stone. Building these platforms was so expensive, they'd run out of budget for guardrails. The stone was still silent. His mind was his own, and his heart, too. He bore them no ill will, these ravens. They were doing their job. They were expressing their nature. Dance, whirl, parry, jab, and breathe. It was all so simple, wasn't it? Something was missing. He didn't feel truly at peace. Wait. Wasn't this near where Calaveras lived? The sage would help him figure it all out. What was really fun was hooking yourself onto a moving ship. That is how we do it, said Bernardo to himself. Bernardo had been the terror of the sandcastles when he was 2.
Sounds about right. Alright, I'm not gonna get stuck this time.
Open, says me. The Iblis Stone, silenced by the Sky Ripper's core, had given Renato enough power to challenge the Imperial fleet. But what Renato was seeking was inner peace. The rebellion was on the verge of extinction, but it would have to wait. And this is why heroes are called dashing, Renato thought. See? Dashing? Get it?
So I think I might want to save up for the ultimate sword foo. It'd be nice to take enemies down in one hit. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna save my points.
At the end of the mountain path, he found the wise Calaveras in his workshop. Do you fix souls or only artifacts? He asked the sage.
Does your soul need fixing?
Asked the sage. I've been killing a lot of ravens lately, he told the sage.
You're a fox,
said Calaveras.
and to kill birds is part of your nature. Take joy in it. I mean, I might as well worry about eating flies. Would you like a fly?
It was true. That's what he had forgotten. The joy. Now he was ready for the final battle. The Farfarer cut through the clouds. The air had never felt so sweet since he was a child. There it was. The dreaded Imperial fleet. He could smell wet hemp ropes ahead, wood and tar, and ravens. Even the fleet smelt good, somehow. He was ready. He was ready. Bernardo had it all squared away in his head. He would kill the Emperor. Isengrim III had begun well, but he had gone mad. He was trying to invoke the lost gods by means of dark, blasphemous rituals. That was a secret. But the victims had spoken to Renardo. The ghosts had spoken. No. No anger. Renardo could not afford anger. It was empowering the crystal in his sword. That made him stronger, but it clouded his mind. He would not be a hero. A hero strives. Bernardo would just be one with everything. The Emperor would die, and the wheel would turn, and all would be restored without rancor, without sorrow, without pain.
That sounds good. Okay, Firestorm level 2.
Fire? Yes, please.
Masamune is for the for melancholic bad guys. Masamune? I'm not sure. I don't know how to read those words. Well, pronounce. That's the word I'm looking for, pronounce. Yeah, I still want to save these. That's gonna take a minute.
Once you try it, you're hooked.
Ow.
Well, you should see the other guy. No skateboarding, the sign said.
Darn it.
Interrupted story time. Caught the lead raven. Now we'll never find out how it ended. I think this is yours, said Renato, but he couldn't hear his enemy's answer. But the more he thought about it, and he had so much more time to think about it now that he was not worrying about the battle, killing the Emperor would not change anything. Another would take his place. Perhaps Zenobia. Perhaps the Speaker of the Rebel Council, and power would corrupt them too, and death would make grief, and grief would lead to hatred. He must lead by example. Reject the violence. Reject the desire to create violence. But how? The ravens. Nobody said they were original. Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Funny that this whole war had come about because the Emperor feared death. Now it was coming for him. There was some sort of lesson there, wasn't there?
Okay.
Finally, he came to the Emperor's ship. The path behind him was strewn with dead ravens. The path to enlightenment. His mistake, he realized, was trying to change the world. The world would spin and the wheel would revolve whether he strove against it or not. What he had to do was nothing. He had attained enlightenment. He sat down, adopted a full lotus position, and began to meditate. And all around him, the warriors stopped fighting too. They knew. They could feel his enlightenment. They gave up fighting, dropped their weapons, and became his disciples.
Oh, snap.
No, just kidding. The nearest raven stabbed him with a sword and then chopped off his head.
Oh, no.
I might not have thought this through properly. Thought Renado's head as it rolled around the deck and died.
Oh, my
Renato
goodness.
stared at the book. He was still alive. Again. And still only flying away from burning Ubar. Had he lived that adventure? Or only dreamt it? Had he really died? It felt so real, not like a dream at all. And he'd lost again. Oh, he hated that. But he had made different choices. And he'd lost in a different way. It was the book, wasn't it? Oracles showed you your destiny. But this was showing him different ways he could die miserably. Thanks a bunch, book, he thought. But these were destinies that he did not have to fulfill. But he'd learned another true thing. The Iblis Stone was evil. It would try to corrupt anyone who used it. But that meant there must be a destiny where he survived and won, right? Otherwise, what was the point? And with that, the book's pages fluttered back once more to the beginning, and the clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced, or so a scholar in the mountains had told him. Surely the weapon that banished the lost gods could defeat the Emperor. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis Stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Renato really leave an old friend to the Ravens? Every child knew about the Sky Ripper. The Transcendent Emperor had buried its pieces. What could have brought them to light? This Emperor, Isengrim III, had once been kind, but he'd gone mad. And now he was conducting secret, obscene rituals to bring back the lost gods. Had he, somehow, summoned the long-lost components of the legendary weapon out of the deep places of the earth? It was more than Renato could fathom. But if he could find a legendary weapon, he would use it. As he set foot on the island, Renato couldn't help feeling a bit curious. Was Lapino still waiting to be rescued? No. He was probably drinking champagne with the ravens. Did ravens drink champagne? Did rabbits? Renato felt oddly thirsty, come to think of it. Why had he chosen the Sky Ripper? Renato never made plans that required constant vigilance. He was a hero. He didn't think too much. He just went with his gut and hoped it all worked out. The Sky Ripper was a long shot. He'd have to devote himself to it. No side journeys, no rescuing old friends. That was against his nature. Could he stick with it? See? With enough leverage, you could go anywhere.
Hey,
Why don't you guys fight in groups?
the people who had built this castle, did they even know what monstrous weapon lay hidden within their walls? The Sky Ripper could destroy anything it touched, or so the legend said. As the Transcendent Emperor had fought the Lost Gods, thousands of thousands had died. But Renato had been through wars. The only merciful war was a short one.
There we go. Wait, what? 3 skill points available. Okay. Oh, that's right. I don't have level or tier 4 skills unlocked yet, so I should probably spend at least 1 or 2 points.
This was way better than being able to shrink down to the size of an ant. What was that all about, anyway?
What's behind door number 2? Not everyone knew how to use magical gems. Of course, not everyone had magical gem gauntlets like he did.
Oops. I meant to get away from that.
No one could beat Renato at hot potato. I guess now I find out what's next, he thought.
Oops. Press the wrong button. Oh my gosh. Derp. I got this. Oh.
Renato hated gogglers, but it freaked him out to cut them. Puzzle. Renato loved puzzles. Except when he couldn't figure them out. On the other hand, if there was a puzzle, it was probably meant to keep people away from something good. See? That wasn't so hard. With materials like this, you could probably make a really nice pair of barbecue tongs. Or even a sword.
For a moment, Renato wished that somebody had been watching.
Elemental resistance. All
That
right,
had been
that's
his
nice.
mistake before, thinking he could win a battle of wills with an ancient evil all by himself. He had to be cleverer than that. Or braver. Or something.
There it was. Skyripper's armature. The stuff that dreams are made of. Engineers' dreams, anyway. The device was intricate. No one alive had the skill to make a thing like it. How was it part of a weapon at all? He'd have to ask a scientist. But first, he'd get the second piece. Skyripper had a heart. A core that had come to rest on the next island. Well, there was another island he could reach. Zenobia had just invaded it with her father's Raven battalions. She must be encamped there still. But fighting Zenobia now, that made no sense at all. He'd already sacrificed one friend to get this armature, was it? He didn't need to hurry to face her. She would find him. It was a no-brainer. He'd sacrificed his old friend Lapino to get the armature. And the armature was useless by itself, only a series of coils and wheels. War demanded sacrifices, and he would make more before the end. He would have to choose the greatest good, no matter how much it cost him. Zenobia. Well, he would see her sooner or later, across a battlefield or a sword's point before all this was over. He was sure of that. The power was in the core. Obviously, he had to get the core. Doubt sunk in before he was even out of sight of the Farfarer. Why had he chosen the Skyripper? It was the sort of path he'd always avoided. The path of responsibility, of seriousness. Had he grown up? He didn't feel grown up. He'd made this decision from his gut, like he always did. Somehow, he'd impulsively decided to stop being impulsive. Did that make any sense? What else could you hook? That is a very cool sword, thought Renara. And seriously, he couldn't feel his paw anymore.
Oh, I need more ore. And water essence. Oops. Wrong button. So, dear Zenobia, the director of the Academy has told me how much he was impressed by your academic performance and leadership. Somehow I doubt this was a session of bootlicking. I have seen plenty of those. That old toad is sincere. I am proud of you, my daughter. You will make a fine empress one day. On my end, great news. Professor Calaveras has been studying the Nexus, and he has made a bold observation. That toad is a true genius. You know how that island is unique and constantly changing, new crystalline formations appearing, island fragments merging, splitting, slowly drifting, held together by some invisible threads. Professor Calaveras is convinced those changes are not random, but rather indicative of the living nature of the islands. He has observed that certain changes on the Nexus follow, or sometimes precede, a turbulence on another island. Landslide, quake, flood. The Nexus seems to resonate with those events. Maybe the islands are a hive mind, and the Nexus is the brain? In any case, I am funding a permanent scientific observatory on the Nexus. It will attract the Empire's greatest minds, with Professor Calaveras at the helm. I anticipate a great age of enlightenment for the Empire. With love, Father. Wow.
You shall not pass. Renata remembered when he'd first stolen one of these. Good times.
They were good times.
Renata wondered how much his tailor was going to charge for all the holes in his clothes.
More than I want to spend.
There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. Had that door been opened before? You almost
Oh,
never
darn
saw
it.
wild gogglers together like this.
I forgot it was
Toads
gonna do
had
that.
to train them not to peck each other to death.
I was trying to go right after
Had to
the
be
goggler.
Imperial gogglers. That meant ravens were up ahead.
I forgot the snap for the hook shot.
The right jewel could really give you an edge. The wrong, well, it still looked pretty, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
There were fewer and fewer trees. There were only these huge crystalline growths. Had those been here before? He no longer heard birds except for the feverish cawing of the ravens when they attacked. He couldn't smell the small animals of the forest, the mice and rabbits. Where had they gone? And he was getting hungry, too. This was an unhealthy place to be.
Darn it. Oh, interesting. They're gone now.
He wished there were more pylons he could use the hook on. They really needed to construct additional pylons.
Huh.
The thing about puzzles was, once you solved one, you knew how to solve it again. Puzzles had no, what was the word? Replayability? Renato wondered if you could design a puzzle that would be different every time you played with it. Wouldn't that be fun? Give me a lever, said Archimedes, and I shall open a gate.
Ah, darn it. Ooh. I am hurting.
Traitors! Caught the ravens. The
Here we
20-sided
go.
core made him feel physically sick. Once he had sneaked into a temple of the dark arts, and he hadn't liked what he smelt and saw there. This felt like that. As quick as he could, he wrangled the icosahedron into the armature. The wheels began to spin, then glow. The sick feeling quickly spun away. Now he only felt sad. He had lost good friends for this war apparatus. Maybe Lapino wasn't such a good friend. Yeah, that made him feel better. He carried his prize back to the Farfarer. Now, he had to make his next move. There was a key Imperial outpost on the Nexus. If this really was some sort of super weapon, he could use it to wreak havoc on the enemy. And if it wasn't, well, better to know that before the final battle. But Maybe he should show it to some scientists first. There was an observatory on the Nexus. Maybe he should go there before he fired it.
I'm gonna go for attacking.
Renato had never been much of a student. At Swordfu School, he'd never read the books, just looked at the pictures. And Zenobia. But weapons he understood. His gut told him that the Sky Ripper would work great. He would use it to take out the Imperial outpost. And what's the worst that could happen? The thing wouldn't work, and then he'd take it to the scientists. Right? Exactly.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
As he set out down the path, Renato wondered why the parts of the Sky Ripper had only surfaced now, thousands of years after the Transcendent Emperor had discarded it. This Emperor, Isengrim III, had performed terrible, bloodthirsty rituals to invoke the lost gods. Perhaps that was bringing up lost artifacts. How perfect, then, that the Sky Ripper would reappear to be his destruction. Oh, this really didn't have much in the way of safety features, did it?
Do old ravens go grey? You know what? Don't worry about it.
Renato wondered idly if people who had built these poles had really, really long tentacles.
Maybe.
He was tired of slaughtering ravens. Maybe it was time to test out the new weapon. He turned a knob on the Sky Ripper. It made strange, mechanical noises. The wheels spun faster. It began to hum.
The Sky Ripper was following his every step. At least it acknowledged him as the master. But there was no trigger. How was he supposed to fire it? Fire, he said. Nothing happened. Well, maybe it just needed to warm up. After all, it hadn't been fired in thousands of years. Renato had never met a weapon without a trigger or a handle. How did this thing work?
Hey! Hey, a workbench!
He could try out his new bling.
Little bit more ore. Okay. Oh, I did it again.
The Sky Ripper was making a whining noise now, and its wheels were spinning so fast he could no longer see them.
Renato had a thought. Please? He asked. The Sky Ripper began to glow. Boom! The outpost burst into flame.
Ravens flapped out screaming, wings on fire. The base was his. The far speaker toad came hopping out.
Renato!
It croaked, sounding like a toad version of Zenobia.
Don't use the Sky Ripper. It will destroy the world.
Yeah, sure it will, cracked Renato. Pull the other one.
If you don't trust me, go see Calaveras.
That sounded sensible. Why did she always have to sound sensible all the time? Oh, it was infuriating.
Of course she would say that. He was supposed to hurry and bring the Sky Ripper to the council so the rebels could actually win the war. But what if she was right?
Damn it.
I feel like I should go talk to Calaveras here. Okay, here we go.
Zenobia was so frustrating. If she couldn't get you with magic, she'd get you with reason and caution and sensible arguments. Of course, Calaveras, he might not know the latest scientific theories with evidence and all, but Renato preferred the knowledge in the old books anyway. What they said felt true, and that's what's important. You should be careful, though. She'd probably guess he'd come here. That meant she'd probably set an ambush for him.
Renato landed on the island, expecting Zenobia's ambush at any moment.
On the other hand, there did seem to be a lot of ravens around here. Were they just lost patrols stirring up trouble? Were they looking for him? If she was going to ambush him, wouldn't she keep the road clear so he wouldn't be on his guard? Or, unless they were part of the ambush, the obvious reasons he was meant to see to take his mind off the ones he wouldn't see. God, after all these years, she still drove him crazy. What were these poles exactly? Parking meters from the time of the lost gods?
Alright, here we go. I can make that other sword now.
This sword from the mystical East could make time itself slow for you.
That was awesome!
Ah, the road less traveled, thought Renato. How intriguing.
to be something useful in these things, didn't there?
Zenobia's ambush never materialized. Could she be sincere? Calaveras was a great scholar. Renato doubted even Zenobia could convince him to say something he didn't believe. And if he was working for the Empire, he'd never have told Renato about the Sky Ripper in the first place. He would listen to the wise old toad, but that didn't mean he had to agree.
He was tempted to just stand on the device and let it do all the killing for him. But that wouldn't be sporting, would it? Or fun? The device was a woman. Buy it a drink. It would be fun to throw healing fruit at people. They wouldn't know whether to be mad or not.
Oh, yeah. Glad to have my health back again.
Why? Why did he listen to Zenobia? She was the enemy. Of course she didn't want him to use his shiny new weapon. The thing was, though, she was appallingly honest. She wouldn't lie even to an enemy. At least she'd never lied to him. So if she said he had to see Calaveras, it probably was a good idea to see him. Ugh, it was infuriating.
Calaveras examined the Sky Ripper eagerly.
What? How often does a new relic surface?
He brushed off Zenobia's warning.
Oh, what do sorceresses know about physics?
However, he did know a few ways to make the weapon even more precise and more powerful, and quickly went off to tinker. Soon the Sky Ripper no longer whined, but thrummed like a hummingbird taking off.
Oh
It
my.
was ready for war.
And so, Bernardo thanked Calaveras and took the legendary weapon to the final battle. But where were the other rebel ships? Had something happened?
He could defeat the Imperial fleet with a Sky Ripper, but he couldn't govern. He was not cut out to be emperor, and he'd no desire to be one. There were a few rebel ships here and there, but there was no organization to the battle. Where was the Council flagship? Something had gone terribly wrong.
But he had the Sky Ripper, and the Ravens had nowhere they could hide.
The mysterious sword from the east made you so fast you could catch a fly with your chopsticks. If that's what you really wanted.
Well, okay. No? Maybe? Oh, no. Where am I supposed to go? I don't know where I'm supposed to go now. Oh, okay.
Bernardo wondered if his future self had commissioned these poles. The council speaker was on the deck, bleeding. Why was she even here? They found our base, she croaked. The council, all dead. We must surrender.
No.
No, we can still win this, said Bernardo. I have the Sky Ripper. He would be a real hero and save the day, even when all appeared to be lost. You're a good boy, said the speaker. And then she died.
Aww.
The platform used a hybrid propulsion system fueled by anti-gravity and wishful thinking. fired at the Sky Ripper. With a tremendous whoosh, the Emperor's flagship went up in flames. And for good measure, he played the beam around it, setting all the other nearby Imperial ships on fire too. And he watched them burn.
Heck
The few
yeah.
remaining rebels gave a cheer. And then they stopped cheering.
Oh no.
There was a hole in the air. A blackness, like a tear in a parchment. Wind was blowing into it, widening it. It grew larger. Crates were falling off ship decks, upwards into the hole. And the world itself seemed bent, like the reflection on a curved mirror as it poured into the ravenous hole. He guessed that somewhere behind that ever-widening hole were gods that had long been exiled. But it didn't really matter. Time was done for here, and soon
a
it
butthole
was.
in the air, nice.
And
They
just
shoot
like
turbo.
that, he was alive again, and back on the Farfarer, still fleeing burning Ubar. The book was still open before him. So, the book was a portal. It took you to the future, when your destinies would branch. He had failed and died 3 times, but he'd learned another true thing. The core was powerful, but dangerous if used improperly.
That's a good thing to know. Yeah, tier 4. Yeah, I'm really tempted to do at least a little bit more. You know what? I'm gonna do a little bit more, but I need to do something AFK real quick. Let me mute that. Put back on my music. Alright, I will be right back. Just a moment. Okay, let's see here. There's a lot of beans doing the intro fight. Ugh. Got stretched. I should probably hydrate. Beans. Beans. 1, 2. 2. Come on, give me the 2. There, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I got something throwing off my face detection right now, and thus my hand detection. Okay. So now comes the actual AFK part. I will be right back in just a minute. And I'm gonna play a little bit more of this game before wrapping up the stream, picking out a raid target. I'm having a really good time playing this game. I really like it, so. And as far as that goes, thank you, Turbo. I very much appreciate the selection today. I'm glad that the die roll went the way it did. Oh my goodness. Oh. Jeez. That one kicked my butt. Oh, that kicked my butt. Oh, okay. Let's turn off the pretzel, and then the intro fighter capture, and my text. Okay, ready to go back. Wait, did I mute? I did mute the game. Okay, there we go.
But he was starting to feel like he was getting the hang of this. There was a way through to victory. He could feel it. He just had to keep running the Path of Destinies. With that, the book fluttered back to the beginning, and he fell into it. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer.
Okay.
Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renata knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe
he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Renato really leave an old friend to the Ravens?
Alright, I'm gonna rescue Lapino and go from there.
Ah, Lapino. Apparently, the Mad Rabbit had sold a Pegasus that he did not exactly own. Lapino always
I'm
wiggled
not
out of
gonna
trouble
trust
given
Lapino.
time.
I'm just
But he
gonna
was out
save
of time.
Lapino.
Lapino's frantic message said that the Ravens were going to kill him for being a rebel spy. And that he had a clever plan. If the fleet reached him first, they'd string him up for that. Never mind the winged horse. Or so Lapino had told him over the far speaker anyway. Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen a winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the Ravens?
Just trying to teach you how to fly.
People were frightened these days. Just 2 weeks past, Renato had sneaked through an empty town and listened to the Ravens call about the Emperor's new taste in ritual sacrifice.
Oh no.
Renato looked around the empty village and reflected. The Sky Ripper had turned out to be far too dangerous to be used. Time to turn to what he knew best. Renato hoped his mother wasn't watching. Fresh socks, thought Renato. Please be fresh socks.
I wish. Oh,
For
darn.
some reason, Renato remembered a fairy tale his mother had told him about a land where only the apes talked and animals went around without clothes.
Well, that sounds weird.
Ravens were landing everywhere. The advance guard. He'd better get moving. If they got to Lupino first, they'd eat him for breakfast. Or a snack. Ravens weren't picky. If they got hungry, they sometimes forgot to interrogate their prisoners. Even top spies like Lupino. Well, unless he really was a traitor, obviously. Then they'd probably pin a medal on his chest.
Dear Zenobia, how are you enjoying the academy? New friends must be already flocking around you, no doubt. Here in the palace, things are the same. I have much time to dedicate to my special hobby. I have been collaborating with Professor Calaveras and his team of experts to investigate the nature of the islands. My gut is telling me that the islands are alive. I think they have a will of their own. Do you hear me, daughter? Our world could be more than floating masses of rock and water. Professor Calaveras and his boys have made measurements. The islands are drifting, surrounded by the endless sky. It is difficult to notice, but through careful measurements of wind over long periods of time, they are certain the islands are moving westward. But where to? It may take centuries, millennia to reach the destination. I have this strange idea. What if the islands are some sort of herd, and that they are deliberately searching for another herd of islands? Can you imagine new islands with their own inhabitants? The thought that we may not be alone? If only I could live long enough to witness the event. With love, Father. Huh, okay. Oh no, go back. Get back.
You could sense the jewel's power.
Ooh.
He had a feeling they were gonna be great friends.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a firefox, thought Renato.
Huh. I like that. I like that. There we go. Lupino.
Dirty and bloody, Renato finally reached Lupino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Renato recognized the cards. It was Lupino's favorite deck. Oh, I thought you were in danger. I am. The ravens are coming. Oh, the prison thing. Right, yeah, we see this guard owed me 53 ducats, so we made a deal. They're very reasonable people, actually, for weasels. Now, I got a brilliant plan to kidnap Zenobia. We capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows, and that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who also happened to be a deadly sorcerer and, oh, his only daughter? That would be worth it. On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power.
Ooh. I kinda wanna go get the Sky Ripper thing and then, like, not give it to Lupino. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try
Sky
it.
Ripper, the transcendent emperor had wrapped an armature around the eye of a god.
Let's see what
had already
happens.
let that armature slip away to save Lupino's life. But even its core, the eye torn from a god, surely they could fashion a great weapon from that. The core of the Sky Ripper? Lupino's excited. That's an actual thing that we could just go and get. You've been busy. He sure had. Renato told him all the things he'd been up to. Soon they got to talking about old times, about wages they'd won and lost, and scrapes they'd barely got out of. It was good to be back with his friend. True, the core was capable of terrible, uncontrollable destruction. But this time,
He was sure it would work great. It's beautiful here, thought Reynardo. It was nice to be back with his old war buddy. All right. Lapino was a traitor. But still, it was good company. This chest contained blank passports from 15 countries.
Nice.
And something useful. He was getting nowhere. Fast. There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. If only you had some sort of gun that made portals. Reynardo felt wrong all over. He could feel an almost palpable sickness in the air. And if the land could have tumors, they would look like these monstrous crystals. The forest was quieter than it had been. There were insects, but few birds. You didn't count the ravens. Reynardo smelled sick animals and dying ones, but no healthy ones. And getting a bad feeling about this, Reynardo thought. Maybe Lapino was right. Maybe he should have kidnapped Zenobia instead of coming here. As he held the radiant icosahedron, Reynardo felt queasy, like dozens of tiny worms were nibbling his insides. It wasn't healthy to be so close to the eye of a god. How could he use it? He could take it to the observatory. The scientists there could tell him how to harness its ancient power. But honestly, Reynardo ached to get away from it. He brought the core back with him to the Farfarer. But honestly, Reynardo ached to be rid of it. Tell you what, said Lapino. I'll take it to the observatory.
Not
You
this
attack the
time.
Imperial outpost.
Not this time.
The Imperial outpost was a vital communications node. Taking it could shatter the Empire's ability to coordinate. And it would be full of secret plans and maps and maybe even rebel prisoners. It was a good target for a hero like Reynardo. But what if Lapino lost the core to the Empire? That could be a good thing, couldn't it? Was Reynardo ready to take that risk? Maybe it was better if he brought the core to the scientists himself.
It is. It is better.
Lapino was a touchy rabbit.
Renato knew that. You're brave, I know, Renato said. But this is what I was hired to do. Oh, well, at least let me run ahead and warn them you're coming. Renato wondered if Lapino was up to no good. What if the rabbit warned the Empire instead? Oh, but Lapino wouldn't betray him like that. Not again. Before it'd been a fluke, right?
No.
They finished the trip to the Nexus in silence. He would offer Lapino a chance to betray him, or not to. His old friend deserved another chance to prove true. All right, Renato said. Go. As Renato watched Lapino vanish on the horizon, he could feel nausea building in him. He felt ill. Could his knees really be aching this much? But how could he have handed the core off to Lapino? That was a recipe for disaster.
Renato, smash!
Nice. Whoa, that was a quick recovery.
Renato felt worse. All his joints were aching now. He'd been through beatings that felt better than this. So the core had a kind of poison that could harm you without even touching you. That's new. Well, it had power. The rebellion needed something with power. And how was this any worse than a sword wound? Well, a death by sword was sudden and fair. This was just squalid. A piecemeal death, like old age.
It would be fun to try out that one. And here was a handy workbench. Time to die, he thought. And it was. Bernardo felt new powers ready to blossom within him, or something.
Or something. What is the something? How to quantify. Eat combos, birds, that's right. All birds get the combos.
The observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists everywhere. Bernardo found the mad rabbit cowering under a desk. The ravens, they must have known we were coming, said Lupino. How did you... Well, see, I was doing a card trick with my lucky deck, and I kind of bobbled the cards, so I went under the desk to gather them up, and boom! I guess we'll have to take the car straight to the secret base. Renato wasn't sure he believed that. But Lupino was talking so fast. He always seemed to make sense. The secret rebel base. Yes. They had engineers there. But wait. Calaveras, the sage in the mountains. Maybe he would know what to do with the naked core. Ah, yes. The secret base. Not even Lupino knew where it was. They had engineers there. Those toads would surely know what to do with the core's
I
power.
like that. Butt spot,
And then
thank
he'd be
you.
free of it. But he couldn't take Lupino. The core would work its evil on him too. You stay here. Give me the coordinates. I'll meet you there. Lupino seemed awfully anxious to have the coordinates of the secret rebel base. Someone needs to bury these scientists. Why do I get all the fun jobs? And with that, Bernardo returned to the Farfarer and took off. The ruins were quiet, but Renato could hear a buzzing in his ears. Was it bugs? Or was it the core slowly feeding him poison?
It was the
council
poison.
would know what to do. If the core had this much power, it could surely change the terms of the great battle that was coming. And maybe they would take this burden from him. Maybe.
Haven't you always wanted to do that? Renato wondered who was leaving chests of sword-crafting supplies around. He wanted to thank him.
a bunch of ore is all I need to upgrade those other ones. Oops. I keep doing that.
How had it come to this? Renato had signed on as an adventurer. Sure, the Emperor had gone mad. Sure, Renato had heard horrors from the ghosts of dead kittens and puppies sacrificed in his blasphemous rituals. But when he jumped in, he'd only been a little bored and slightly broke. And here he was, carrying a bucket of death across a broken landscape. Why not drop it and run? Because he hated to quit in the middle. That was his fatal flaw. He had to know how it all turned out.
Well, the eyes have had it.
Oh, what?
I should have done a barrel roll,
Yeah.
he thought, as he died.
Jeez. Should be able to unlock automatic barrel roll. Ah, darn
Slippy's
it.
hit, he thought.
Jeebers. Slippy was hit. Oh my god. Okay. I thought I would be smooth and go really quickly through here, but bad idea.
The long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good. Hero wall. Hero sword. Ice wall. Ice. It was time for a little exploration. dropped the core at the entrance to the council chambers.
Get that thing out of here!
Croaked the speaker.
It's making us sick!
That's the core of the Sky Ripper, said Renato.
No, it's not useless at all.
Said an engineer toad.
It's poisonous. Look at the fox. He's ill. Probably dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, not useless at all, said Renato. So what do I do? Rub it on His Majesty? The engineer chuckled. Renato didn't like it when engineers chuckled.
Oh, I got it. Listen, I can make a bomb that spread bits of the core all over a circle about 100 paces wide. Yeah, little chunks of poison and death. All you have to do is just get it near the Emperor. You'll kill him and his bodyguard and chop off the head of the fleet. Yeah, and if we're lucky, might poison some of the ravens around there as well.
What about me?
Right, what about you? Well, I'll build in a timer. You can set it and run.
No, that's a horrible idea, said Renato.
Well, we have to do something, yes?
Said the speaker.
This is something.
Renato couldn't argue with that. And so, reluctantly, Renato loaded the rigged core onto the Farfarer and set sail towards the Emperor's ship. The rebels took the fight to the Imperial fleet, but Renato was too sick to enjoy the view. He must have passed out as a firm hand grabbed him and shoved him forward. This was it.
Oh my gosh.
The fleet seemed very big, and its ravens very tough. Or maybe he was just slower and weaker than before. He hated the idea of poisoning the enemy. It wasn't fair. Face to face with a raven, let the best swordsman survive. But they wouldn't even know what was killing them. Feather by feather, scale by scale. He didn't mind dying a hero. That sometimes went with being a hero. But he didn't feel at all like a hero. Not today. Or I could go that way, he thought.
Nice. Okay, that's good.
He was exhausted. He was making stupid mistakes. His fur was coming off in bunches. Up ahead, he could see the Emperor's ship, long and sleek, a floating palace. The bomb would only poison a circle 100 paces wide. He would get as close as he could, set it, and run. Oh, this was a lousy way to win a rebellion, he thought. He didn't want a medal for this. He just wanted to be forgotten. Should have died a pirate, he thought.
there was a sign. Take the goat across first.
Getting a little bit distracted by my phone going off.
He was sort of yanking his own chain, wasn't he? Renato twisted the timer and the bomb as far as it would go and staggered off. His knees hurt. Oh, everything hurt. He staggered away as far as he could until he had to lie down. He could see the entire Imperial fleet from here, and the rebel ships engaged with it. There was a blinding flash. And a second later, a monstrous thump. Burning rocks arced across the sky over both fleets. A wreath of fire shot outwards, rolling across the fleets. A pillar of smoke boiled up from where the Emperor's ship had been. It reached into the clouds.
Oh my.
That's a wee bit more than 100 paces, thought Renato. It took Renato most of that evening to die. Some of the toughest ravens lasted all week. Some of the rebels in the furthest ships survived as much as a month. That winter, with neither Empire nor rebels to rule them, the islands slid into banditry. And so began the Second Age of Darkness. And he hadn't learned anything new this time. He'd done the same thing twice, yet expected a different outcome.
Uh-huh. Wow. I got some ore out of it. Mm-hmm. That's right, I need to go talk to the cat still. But I'm gonna go ahead and find a raid target here. I have very much enjoyed the game, but I think it's time for me to go ahead and wrap things up. I'm a little bit hungry. Need some din din. So let me go ahead and quit out of here. And grab my outro. There we go. There I am. Go ahead and put that on. And some pretzel while I figure out who I'm gonna raid into. But, gonna be back for my next stream on Saturday. And it's going to be Super Animal Royale Saturday. So I'm very excited about that. And that's gonna be, is it 3 to 6? 4 to, no, 4 to 7, I think. Let's see here. Got some RimWorld, Cult of the Lamb. Super Animal Royale. Okay. You know what? Gonna go ahead and raid into Sledge LP, because Sledge, oh my gosh. Super awesome bean. Very, very high energy stream. Playing some RimWorld right now, and they're very fun to watch when it comes to RimWorld. I'm pretty sure they have an extension where you can actually interact with the stream. I can't quite remember, but anyways, I'm gonna get that raid underway here. Before I do, I just want to say thank you to everyone, the live viewers, and also anyone watching the eventual VODs on YouTube and Twitch. So let's see here, raid channel. I still need to work on my actual outro. It's always just I piece it together, but it's worked so far. Let's see. Alright. Well, everyone, once again, I love y'all. And I will catch you later. Have a great rest of your day, evening, afternoon. And be excellent to each other, right? Oh no. Unable to raid at this time. That's a really neat thing for Twitch to do, is to wait to tell you that it's not gonna work for the raid. Let me try that again. Yeah, okay. Let me pick another raid target. Oh my goodness. So it's gonna be Super Animal Royale. And raiding into Abby Roses. Abby Roses is awesome. I'm gonna be playing Super Animal Royale again on Saturday, so sneak preview of what's to come. Okay, here we go. Abby Roses. Start raid. Oh my goodness. Are raids just not working right now? It's kind of giving me that impression here. Because I'm pretty sure neither of them would be disallowing raids. I'm gonna try Emumu. It's another really fun SAR player. Weird, this has never happened before, going and hunting for a raid target. And having to actually cycle through some. There we go. This raid is going. But yeah, thanks again everyone. Love you and see you later.